My best friend and I have been best friends for
since third grade.
Since third grade, yes. So
y'all even look at each other with love.
Yes. Everyone knows that where Janine is, Heather will be too. Heather here is a bit of a fright freak. We are best friends, but we're very different in our taste of excitement. So like she loves those kind of things, and I do not. But Heather won 2 tickets for this haunted house, and everyone was talking about it, our other friends. So I was really excited. So I was
Did you go to last year's?
I did not. I've never been.
So you really didn't know what to expect?
Yeah, not at all, because, I always skip it. So I decided to go, and we planned, and I was actually really excited.
Now, Mr. Henderson, how long you been running this haunted house?
Your Honor, we've been in business for over 17 years now.
And what's the goal?
We're all about the experience. We want every person that crosses our threshold to feel like they just to come to an event. So we lay it on thick. We hire the best costumed actors to portray our characters. 17 years, we've never had an issue.
Tell me this. Most of the haunted houses I've been to are these kind of warehouses that they rent for a couple days around Halloween, and you go in there and people scare the hell out of you. Was it that kind of thing? Dark and, creepy?
Yes, it was very dark. There were a lot of attractions. They did put a lot of effort into it.
Okay. Well, it harkens me back, because I've got 3 sons. I used to take them there. I was always worried about them getting away from me, because they were certainly going to get scared.
Right.
But it was always very dark.
Yes, a lot of strobing lights and loud noises, scary noises.
I see Mr. Henderson nodding. That's really the atmosphere.
Yeah. I mean, you come to a haunted house to be frightened. I mean, that's the whole intent and purpose of a haunted house.
And you knew that, right?
Yes.
You knew you were going to be scared.
Yeah, so I definitely knew I was going to be scared. So I get ready. We get there. She shows the free VIP tickets.
Why VIP? What did that allow you to do that the regular folks don't get to do?
They took us through a separate entrance, which was great.
Were you excited?
Yes, I was excited.
Was Heather excited?
Of course I was.
How long had you been inside before the bad stuff happened?
Probably about 10 minutes, taking our time, going through the different rooms and attractions. And so we get...
And you had been scared, right? You've been in there a while, things are jumping out at you.
Yes.
So what happened?
So we get into this hallway, and it was very, very dark, and we get separated. We lose each other, and that's when everything changed.
Did getting separated from Heather add to you being insecure in this place?
Yes, absolutely. I was only there in the first place because of her and for her. So I'm looking for Heather. I am overwhelmed, freaking out right now. Then to make everything worse, a chainsaw guy jumps in front of me with his chainsaw, and it's loud, and he's coming at me.
Scared the hell out of you.
Scared the hell out of me, Your Honor. And my reaction was to back up. And then I feel something on my shoulder.
What did you feel?
There are hands, like hairy hands.
Okay.
Look back. It's a werewolf character, huge werewolf character, touching me, and I immediately freak out and run. That's Did
you know where you were running to?
No idea. I couldn't even see. It was pitch black.
You're just running away from the werewolf.
Of course, I was running away. I wanted to get away from him.
And so you start running, then what happened?
So I run, and as soon as I start running, I hit a brick wall.
Now you can see from the size of my nose and playing football in college, I've broken that nose a couple times, so I'm feeling those days. What were you feeling when you hit that wall?
Immediate shock and a lot of pain. You broke your nose. I'm sure you understand, Your Honor. It's a very painful situation.
Right.
A lot of blood.
This looks like it hurts today.
Yes, it does. Blood everywhere. I'm very dizzy from the concussion.
Okay.
And I'm just distraught at this point.
Now, Mr. Henderson, do you remember when this incident happened?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Take me to that night.
I was on the premises that night, but I was not in the vicinity when it happened. I became aware of it through Mr. Greco and Mr. Powell here, who were present when the incident occurred, sir.
Okay.
And, I just got to say this. Ms. Gray knew what she was getting into, Your Honor.
She knew she was going to be scared, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're not saying that she would know she's going to have a broken nose at the end of the day, right?
No,
I
Your
hope
Honor,
not.
no. But what I am asserting is that This broken nose is due to her own negligence. She knew what she was getting into.
Excuse me?
So we're avid DIYers, do-it-yourself. We love renovating homes and doing home projects. And so recently my wife thought it was a great idea if we converted the detached garage from my mother so it could be an in-law suite, a granny apartment, so to speak. There's still a lot that needs to be done, insulation, drywall, painting, and you can see we've already done some work in the bathroom, but we had to stop to get a plumbing license.
So at the time that this happened, you weren't finished.
Correct, Your Honor.
And you did all this to make sure your mother would have a place to be.
Yes, Your Honor. My mother is getting old in age and she's divorced. I happen to be an only child, so I wanted her close to me.
That's a beautiful thing. Mr. and Mrs. Adams, how'd y'all come to have bats?
We live a very different lifestyle. We do a lot of homesteading. We very natural life. We go through and we actually have a greenhouse and we plant our own vegetables. We have a chicken coop. We live a very, self-sustaining life.
Minimizing your global footprint, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, what's bats got to do with it?
Both of our properties are backed up to some woods, and there's a river back there which is home to a lot of insects, mainly mosquitoes. And so when we moved in, we noticed that there were a lot of mosquitoes, so much that we couldn't really enjoy ourselves out on our back porch. So we decided to do the all-natural thing, which was to attract bats to our backyard to help control the mosquito population, because bats can eat up to 1,000 mosquitoes per hour.
So bats do better than those mosquito zappers that you get at the hardware store?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
We're an all-natural family, and unlike the Youngs here, we don't like to spray pesticides or insecticides. We decide to do things as best we can in an all-natural, eco-friendly way.
Mr. and Mrs. Young, did you all know that they were kind of naturalists who,
Oh, yes. I feel like we've actually been quite understanding of their naturalistic ways. They have chicken coops, and you can imagine it's very loud, especially early in the morning, and it smells not so pleasant either.
Take me to the day that you got injured.
I had pneumonia for a couple weeks, and finally I was actually feeling better, and Justin and I actually had a weekend that we were off. So we're gonna go ahead and start working on his mother's apartment again, and that day he actually went to the garage to get all the tools, and I went to the apartment by myself, and I went to the bathroom just to clear everything up, because that's where we stopped last time.
Okay.
And I saw this spongy mold on the shower part, and I was like, okay, well, we haven't been there in a couple weeks, understandably, so things might happen. And so I got all my cleaning supplies, and I started cleaning the spot, and it actually jumped up at me, and it wasn't mold, it was actually a bat, and there was wings, and there was it kept biting at me and attacking me, and I thought that it was just that, and then all of a sudden it felt like there were hundreds of bats everywhere, and there was just wings and screaming, and even now sometimes I still I have nightmares about that incident, and I just kind of.
So you originally thought this was a glob of some kind of mold from being left alone. You
Yes,
disturb it and it's a bat that attacks you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you said there were others in there?
It felt like there were hundreds at least.
Sounds like a movie.
That's exactly what it felt like, Your Honor. So I was in the garage and then getting the tools and supplies. I hear my wife scream, and it's a bone-chilling scream. I've never heard her sound like this. I run to the detached garage, and I look, and all these bats are just flying out like it's a movie. And so I go in, see my wife. She's in the fetal position, laying in bat poop, guano, essentially. So I'm trying to get to her. I'm beating these bats left and right, trying to get to her. I pick her up, and I rush her to the ER because I think she might have rabies or contracted some other disease from that.
I see the scratches on your wife's arms. I mean, this must have been really bad.
It was, Your Honor. It's been life-changing for us.
This was a real bad attack.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. and Mrs. Adams, y'all are next door. How do bats get into their property?
We hate that this happened to them, but we want to make a point that bats, they don't just randomly attack human beings. They have to be disturbed in order for that to happen. So if you're gonna scrub a bat, of course it's gonna freak out and bite you. They're wild animals.
Well, Your Honor, I'm a makeup artist. Makeup has been my passion since I was a little girl. Even my baby dolls had makeup on all the time. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. I do weddings, I do sweet 16s, I do special occasions, anything, I can do it. My friend was telling me about a convention that was in town, and that is where I met Miss Ortiz. She is the director at the funeral home Ray of Light.
But how do you get into making up dead bodies?
You know, honestly, people may find it morbid, but beauty is beauty to me. So I feel like the bodies deserve to go out the way that they live.
You know, as I read your papers, the only other person I'd ever heard of being in this business is I was talking to Matt when I met his parents, and his mom did a little bit of this, so I thought 1 in 10,000 people would do this kind of work. Is that pretty unique?
Well, I'm 1 in 10,000 because I love it.
And Miss Ortiz, how long have you run this funeral home?
Your Honor, I've been at this particular funeral home for over 20 years. I inherited it from my husband, who got it from his parents when they retired.
Do you normally have a makeup artist come in to do work on the loved ones of folks?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I normally have a regular staff, but I was at the mortuary convention and had a small booth, and that's how I met Miss Gray. She seemed like a nice enough girl at the time, so I thought, well, you know, if I need any extra help, I'll call her in. At this particular weekend, we were exceptionally busy. We had 3 funerals going on at once, and I needed an extra person to help out.
So, Miss Gray, how did you get injured on this day?
So as I started working, I noticed some threads on the jacket part of, you know, the body. And as I was pulling them off, I saw another string in the pant pocket. So I opened up the second half of the casket, and then I pulled what I thought was a string, and Your Honor, it was a rat. It was like, and as soon as I did that, Your Honor, it attacked, like it lunged at me and it stuck its like razor sharp teeth. Your Honor, like, oh God, just talking about it, I can feel it all over again. Like,
a rat jumped out?
Your Honor, it jumped out at me and it bit me everywhere. It got my arms, Your Honor. Like, I was so frantic and I didn't know what else was in there.
I have an admission. Rats turn me into a little boy, okay?
It turns me into a little girl, Your Honor. I was terrified. So I slammed the bottom half, and then that's when I slammed it on my hand, Your Honor, and then I broke my 2 fingers.
So Miss Ortiz, a rat in a casket, that's kind of weird, right?
Yes, Your Honor, it is definitely weird.
I was hoping you would say yes. How did you know that something had happened?
Well, Your Honor, I was out front with the families. I had well over 100 people in the funeral home. I had 3 funerals going on all at once. I'm talking with some of the relatives and families, and I hear a scream in the back. I excuse myself and go running to the back. She's absolutely going crazy. Something about a rat, and I'm looking around going, rat, where? I see absolutely nothing, Your Honor.
You didn't see any rat?
I saw nothing, Your Honor. She's standing there absolutely going crazy. So I said, please, sweetheart, please, I don't know what's going on, but go home, get some rest, and let me call you in the morning, and let's work this out. Let's find out what's going on.
Now, Miss Gray, I want you to come over to this casket and tell me exactly how this happened.
Yes, Your Honor. I opened up the top half. As I was sitting there and, you know, fixing them up, that's when I saw the threads, like, at the top part of the jacket. So I'm, you know, just pulling them off, make sure they're fine. And I saw another thread on the pant pocket part. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let me get it. And instead of, like, digging, you know, for what, I pulled, and then that's when the rat jumped on me and attacked. Your Honor, it bit at me, like it took chunks of my flesh with it.
You're gonna send me back into therapy here, okay?
I don't know what else is in here, so that's when I'm, you know, just freaking out, and then so I just grabbed the top and then slammed it down and then landed on my hand.
So that's how your hand was hurt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're screaming and flailing?
And flailing about.
And Miss Ortiz, that's what you heard that drew you back to see what was going on?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Gray, you may return to the podium. Thank you. Miss Ortiz, this happened at your funeral home. This isn't your fault?
No, Your Honor. May I please?
Yes, ma'am.
Please the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would like you to look at this casket.
Okay.
Why was she in the bottom half of the casket? She had no business being in the bottom half.
So she could have done her job
There was no way she
on the
could
top
have
half.
seen that. Why did she open
Your
the bottom
Honor.
half? Why did she open
Your
the bottom
Honor.
half, Your Honor?
I mean, that's a good point.